Ladies, let's get brutally honest about something for a second. Men, yes, even the emotionally mature, evolved, deeply connected men are still wildly visual, sensual creatures. But don't mistake that for shallow. There's a massive difference between a man who's only attracted to a woman's looks and one who's drawn to a woman because of the habits she embodies that spark something primal in him. Because when we talk about sexual attraction, they realize that we're not just talking about tight dresses or lip gloss. We're talking about those subtle, often subconscious feminine behaviors that flip a switch inside a man's mind and body and make him feel magnetically pulled to you. You don't need to change who you are. But if you understand the habits that spark attraction, you can amplify your natural femininity in a way that effortlessly draws the kind of man you desire. Let's get into the 5 feminine habits that trigger sexual attraction in men, starting with the one that's most underrated at number 1. Playful teasing with warmth, not sarcasm. Their teasing done right is like intellectual foreplay. It tells a man, I'm comfortable in my skin and I'm not afraid to play. Think about it. Attraction without playfulness is just seriousness with chemistry. You can be stunning, smart, successful, but if you never flirt with a wink, if you never gently mock him for being 5 minutes late or playfully him on his love for pineapple on pizza, you're missing an enormous part of the seduction dance. But here's the twist. The teasing has to come with warmth, a light touch on the arm, a smirk that says, I see you, a laugh that shows you're not really judging him. Sarcasm pushes men away, flirtatious teasing draws them closer. It disarms him and makes him feel like you're not putting him on a pedestal nor trying to dominate him, but instead inviting him into a fun, emotionally charged connection where he gets to chase you, not just be chased. Number 2, the way you touch with intention, not accident. Touch is the most primal communication tool we have. And most women underestimate how little it takes to spark sexual electricity. I'm not talking about overt groping or aggressive moves. I'm talking about the feather-light brush of your fingers on his forearm when he makes you laugh, or the slow, deliberate hand that rests just a second too long on his shoulder as you walk by. These are the kinds of touches that whisper desire, not scream it. Men are wired to respond to physical cues, but they crave subtlety just as much as heat. When you show that you're comfortable in your body and generous with your touch, not in a needy way, but in a relaxed, confident, sensual way, it activates a man's attention immediately. Realize that it tells him, I feel safe with you and I'm not afraid to be sensual. That's rare. That's unforgettable. Number 3, embodying softness without weakness. There's a reason men fall hard for women who know how to be soft, and it's not because they want someone to walk all over. Quite the opposite. A woman who can show softness in a world that often demands hardness is magnetic. Softness is not about being passive or submissive. It's about staying in your heart, being emotionally expressive, nurturing, open to connection. It's about the woman who makes eye contact and actually feels what you're saying instead of brushing past it with performance. The woman who realizes with her whole body or speaks with vulnerability rather than control. Men feel safe with that softness. It's the energy that draws them out of their heads and into their bodies, into presence, into craving. Ironically, when a woman embodies softness, a man steps into his strength. He feels needed, not because she's weak, but because she gives him space to lead, to provide, to protect. Not because she can't, but because she allows polarity to create that mutual spark. Number 4, expressive body language that invites, not demands. Have you ever seen a woman walk into a room and all heads turn? Not because she's the most conventionally hot, but because of the way she carries herself. Feminine body language is a silent invitation, the tilt of her head when she listens, the fluid way she moves, the way her eyes flicker with curiosity, or the way she leans in when something excites her. These are the habits that scream attraction without a single word. Most men are starving, not for sex, but for a signal, a sign that she's open, that it's safe to engage. And feminine body language gives him that permission. When your posture is relaxed, your energy is warm, and you smile with your eyes, it triggers his desire to move towards you. It tells him, you're welcome here, that you don't have to earn your way into my presence. I'm enjoying you. That's rare. And men chase what feels both open and high value. Number 5, being turned on by life, not just by him. Here's the kicker. The sexiest women in the world, the ones men fantasize about, obsess over, crave long after the date is done, they all have one thing in common. They are turned on by life. They're passionate, curious, lit up by their own world. They flirt with possibility. They seduce the moment. They're not waiting for a man to bring the spark. They are the spark. Whether it's the way she talks about a book she's reading, her favorite cocktail, or that yoga class that left her breathless, she carries a sensual charge that makes a man want to plug into her energy. Because he doesn't want to be her whole world. He wants to be invited into a world that already feels alive. A woman who lives this way, who glows from within and lets that passion overflow into her words, her laugh, her kiss. That's not just sexually attractive, that's unforgettable. Now let's take this a step deeper. because knowing these habits is one thing, but embodying them, that's where real power lies. Let's break down how you actually bring these feminine habits to life in everyday situations and how to use them not just to attract attention, but to create deep, undeniable sexual chemistry with the right kind of man. Let's go back to playful tasing for a moment. Think about the energy you bring on a first date. Most people are nervous, so what do? They go logical, they try to impress. They ask about job titles and swap facts. But what if instead you let yourself play? Let's say he tells you he meditates every morning. You could say, so you're one of those Zen types. Should I be intimidated? Or are you secretly chaotic in the morning like the rest of us? That's teasing with curiosity. You're being flirty without being fake. That tiny spark where you challenge and invite at the same time is what makes him feel both amused and aroused. Now imagine combining that with touch. Imagine you're at a bar seated close enough that your knees occasionally brush, or you lean in to hear him over the music and lightly rest your hand on his forearm, not for attention, but because you're present. This is where real attraction brews. It's not just what you say, it's what your body communicates when words fall away. And most women don't realize how powerful it is when a man feels your calm physical confidence. He doesn't need you to be overt. He just needs to feel that you're connected to your body and that you trust him enough to let that connection come through. Now let's talk about softness, not performative femininity, not acting sweet to get something. I'm talking about real emotional availability. In a world that tells women to toughen up, to never need anyone's softness becomes revolutionary. And the most attractive women, they're the ones who know how to hold two things at once: self-respect and surrender. She can express how she feels without blaming. She can say, "That really hurt me," instead of shutting down or pretending she doesn't care. She can ask for clarity when she's confused instead of playing games. That softness, it invites a man to show up more powerfully, not because she's helpless, because her openness inspires his strength. And you know what happens when that dynamic takes root? The sexual attraction becomes volcanic because the polarity is alive. Feminine softness inspires masculine heat. That's not a glitch, it's nature. And when you embody this, you'll start to notice something fascinating. Men feel more relaxed around you, more present. They touch you more, they open up more, they chase more, because you're not giving them a performance, they're getting access to a real feeling woman. That's rare, that's powerful. Let's go to body language. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being expressive. If you're excited, show it. If you're curious, lean in. If you like something he says, let your smile last a second longer. If he surprises you with something bold, let your eyebrows rise and flirt with your eyes. Men don't just hear your words, they watch you, they're reading every cue your body gives off, whether you mean it or not. So what happens when you own your expression? You create a non-verbal language of desire. And it's way more powerful than anything you could say. Most women don't realize this when you're fully present in your body, when your voice has tone, your movements have grace, and your energy invites connection. You become hypnotic. You don't need to try hard, because men can feel it. You're not there to impress, you're there to experience. And that shift changes everything. It moves you from performing to receiving, from guarded to glowing. And that's the energy that makes men obsess. Finally, let's come back to being turned on by life. This one is the most important and the most misunderstood, because most women think, if I like him, I'll be flirty. If I feel sexy around him, I'll turn on my feminine side. But the truth, that's backwards. You can't wait for a man to activate your sensuality. You have to cultivate it yourself every single day. That means doing things that make you feel radiant, wearing lingerie under your outfit, not for him, but for you, but dancing in your kitchen, laughing at your own jokes, having passions that light you up so fiercely that when he talks to you, he feels your glow. Do you want to know what really makes a man sexually obsessed? It's not just how you look, it's how alive you are. When you walk in a room with passion in your step, with a secret in your smile, with warmth in your heart and fire in your energy, men notice, and they don't just want to talk to you, they want to be around you, they want to touch you, they want to be the man who gets invited into your world. And when that happens, when he's not chasing your validation, but chasing the feeling he gets from being around you, that's when you've become unforgettable. So here's your challenge. Stop focusing on what makes a woman hot in the eyes of culture. Start focusing on what makes you magnetic. Practice teasing that leaves him grinning. Touch with more intention. Speak with softness that still has strength. Let your body express what your heart is feeling, and live like you're already turned on, because the truth is, when you embody these feminine habits, men won't just be attracted to you, they'll be pulled to you, not just for one night, but for something deeper, something irresistible, something real. Now let's go even deeper, because once you've started practicing these feminine habits, something fascinating starts to happen. You'll notice that your energy changes before you even speak. You'll walk into a room and feel the attention shift, not because you tried to get noticed, but because you were radiating, and men respond to that more powerfully than anything else. But let's talk about why this happens. Let's talk about the invisible signals you send when these habits become second nature. See a woman who flirts with life, who's playful in her teasing, intentional with her touch, soft yet strong, expressive without demanding. She sets herself apart instantly. Why? Because she's no longer operating from lack. She's not chasing. She's not fishing for attention. She's not wondering am I sexy enough? Or does she already know she's a catch? Not because she's perfect, but because she's present. And that changes the entire dynamic. When you embody these feminine habits, you move from hoping he'll choose you to being the woman he hopes he's worthy of choosing. Let that sink in. Because when a man senses that you're not performing, not posturing, not pretending, he relaxes. His defenses drop, and suddenly he's not just physically attracted to you. He's mentally and emotionally engaged by you. He leans in, he mirrors your energy. He starts asking you more questions. He starts chasing moments with you, not just your body. That's when attraction becomes something bigger than chemistry. That's when it becomes connection. Let's make it real with a scenario. You're at a party, you lock eyes with a guy across the room. You don't look away nervously. You let the eye contact linger. You smile, not big, not forced, just a slow, soft curve that says, I see you. Then you turn away. That's the tease. A few minutes later, he's near you. He makes a comment about the music. You laugh. You gently tap his arm and say, you like this. Realize they didn't have you pegged as a dance floor guy. That's playfulness. He jokes back. You lean in to listen, your shoulder brushing his. That's intentional touch. He says something that makes you genuinely light up and you let it show. That's expressive body language. And when he asks what you're into, you don't shrink. You light up. You talk about something that makes you come alive. That's being turned on by life. You've just sparked a connection that's charged. It's playful, it's warm, it's sensual, it's magnetic. And here's the key. Most women wait for the man to create that feeling. But the most irresistible women, they lead with it, not by chasing, but by creating an energy so vibrant. They're so self-assured that a man can't help but be pulled in. Now let's talk about what not to do, because a lot of women accidentally sabotage their feminine energy without realizing it. Overlies that they get in their heads. They try to say the right thing. They shrink their body language. They pretend to be indifferent so they don't seem too interested. But here's the truth. Indifference doesn't create attraction. It creates confusion. And confusion is the opposite of desire. Men don't want a mystery, them feel insecure. They want a woman who feels safe to desire. So don't hold back your joy. They don't suppress your warmth. Don't dim your passion. Because when a man feels like he's getting the real you, unfiltered, emotionally alive, grounded in her own worth, that's when his attraction skyrockets. That's when he feels like, this woman, she's different. I can't stop thinking about her. So here's your reminder. You don't mind her. You don't need to try harder. You need to feel deeper. You don't need to chase more. You need to express more. Attraction isn't about becoming someone else. It's about stripping away the noise and reconnecting with the most radiant version of you. And that version, she's playful. She's present there. She's powerful. She touches with care. She teases with joy. She moves with grace. She speaks with softness, and she lights up her own world. So much so that any man lucky enough to step into it feels like he just entered a whole new dimension. That's the kind of woman a man doesn't just want to sleep with. That's the kind of woman he fantasizes about, the kind he brags to his friends about, the kind he sees walking away and thinks, God, I hope she turns around again, because she didn't just get his attention. She got in his skin, inside his mind, inside his desire. So let's bring it all together, because the truth is, this isn't just about being attractive to men. It's about remembering that your sensuality, your magnetism, your feminine power, it's always been yours. It's not something you earn. It's not something you unlock when the right man gives you attention. It's something you awaken when you choose to live fully expressed, fully embodied, and fully you there. That's what the most irresistible women have figured out. They don't wait for permission to glow. They don't wait for a man to make them feel sexy. They don't fake confidence or pretend to be chilled out or play some robotic game of being hard to get. Instead, they show up present. They're grounded. Their energy says, I know who I am. I know what I bring. There. And I don't need you to see it, but if you do, you'll never forget me. And here's what's beautiful. These 5 habits, they're not tricks. They're not manipulation. They're reflections of your most empowered self. Playful teasing isn't about games. It's about connection. Intentional touch isn't about seduction. It's about presence. Softness isn't weakness. It's power in its most feminine form. Expressive body language, that's just emotional freedom flowing through your body and being turned on by life. That's how you make every moment a flirtation with your own joy. You see, sexual attraction isn't just physical, it's energetic, it's emotional. It's the charge between two people who see and feel each other on a deeper level. And when you become a woman who feels, a woman who invites without chasing, who expresses without performing, who lives lit up instead of waiting to be lit, you'll create attraction that goes beyond the surface. Because here's the secret men don't say out loud. They crave a woman who makes them feel alive, not just aroused, alive. A woman who sees their edge and dares them to lean into it. A woman whose energy inspires them to be more present. A woman who doesn't need them, but who makes them feel like showing up matters. That's what these habits do. They open the door for that kind of connection, that kind of spark there. And once you tap into them, you'll never need to chase again. So the next time you walk into a room, don't ask yourself, am I sexy enough? Ask, am I present enough? Am I playful? Am I open to connection? Am I owning the moment? Because when you show up in that state, when you flirt with life and radiate joy, that's when everything changes. Men will look at you differently. They'll feel differently around you. You won't have to wonder where they're attracted. You'll see it in their eyes. You'll feel it in the way they lean in the way they listen more closely, in the way they initiate and where they crave. You won't just trigger sexual attraction. You'll inspire devotion. Because a woman like you, she's not just desirable, she's unforgettable. So step into that version of you tomorrow, not when you lose 5 pounds, but when he texts you back. Now, step into your most radiant, most feminine energy and watch how the world begins to respond to you like it's waking up for the very first time. And when that happens, don't be surprised when he can't stop thinking about you, because you didn't just attract him, you moved him. You became the fantasy he didn't even know he was searching for. And that's real feminine power.